You know, when you picture India, you might think of its booming cities or its incredible tech scene. But the real heartbeat of the nation, the engine that truly supports most of its people, well, that's rooted deep in the soil. So let's dive into the absolutely massive and vital world of Indian agriculture.
Just take a look at this number, 2/3. That's how much of India's enormous population is involved in agriculture. It's not just another part of the economy, it's a way of life for hundreds of millions of people. It is, without a doubt, the backbone of the entire country.
And its importance goes way beyond just what's on your dinner plate. I mean, it all starts here. Agriculture produces the food we eat, of course, but it also provides the raw materials that fuel countless other industries. We're talking everything from the cotton in your clothes to the sugar in your tea. It's the foundation for so much else.
So, if you really want to understand India, you've got to understand its farmers. Their stories are literally woven into the land itself, and that story starts with the most ancient and traditional ways of growing things.
So to picture this, let's imagine a young girl named Rinja from a small village in Assam. Her family practices what's called primitive subsistence farming. They clear a little patch of forest, this is the slash and burn part, and they use really simple tools like digging sticks, and the whole family pitches in to grow just enough food to get by. They even have these cool bamboo canals to bring water to their fields.
Now, Rinja's family is a piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. Their way of farming works perfectly for them on a small scale, but there's no way it can feed a whole subcontinent. So the big question is, how did Indian agriculture level up to meet this incredible challenge?
Well, the thing is, it didn't just pick one path and stick to it. Instead, you have these three really distinct systems of farming that kind of grew up alongside each other. And they all exist today, each with its own goals and its own methods.
And here they are, the three main systems. You've got the primitive subsistence farming, like we saw with Rinja's family. Then there's something called intensive subsistence farming. And finally, you have large-scale commercial farming. Each one tells you a little something about the needs and priorities in different parts of India.
And this chart really lays it all out. See, on one end, primitive farming is all about feeding your family. But as the population grows and land gets scarce, you get intensive farming. The goal here is totally different. Squeeze every last drop of produce out of a tiny plot of land using tons of labor and resources. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got commercial farming. This is a business. It's all about high-tech seeds, big machinery, and selling to the market. Think of those massive, sprawling tea plantations in Assam. Now, running underneath all of these different farming styles is this powerful natural rhythm. See, farming in India isn't just a year-round free-for-all. It follows a very precise three-part cycle that's dictated by the seasons and, most importantly, by the monsoon rains.
Let's break down this cycle. First up is Kharif. This is the monsoon season, when you plant crops that love water, like rice, or paddy as it's often called. Once the rains recede, you get Rabi, the winter season. This is perfect for crops like wheat, which prefer a cooler start. And squeezed in between is a short, hot summer season called Zaid, which gives us awesome stuff like watermelon and cucumbers. This three-beat rhythm is everything.
And when you combine those distinct seasons with India's diverse climates, what you get is a truly mind-boggling variety of crops. So let's take a quick tour of this agricultural bounty, starting with the absolute basics. Okay, first things first, food grains. We're talking about cereals. These are the crops that form the absolute foundation of the Indian diet. They are the staples that provide most of the calories for over 1 billion people. And this is a perfect example of why those seasons matter so much. Rice, that's a Kharif crop. It needs the heat and the heavy rain of the monsoon, so it's the staple food in the east and the south. But wheat, that's a Rabi crop. It loves the cool winters you find in the north and west. So you have 2 different crops for 2 different seasons, feeding 2 different parts of the country. Pretty cool, right? But hey, you can't live on bread and rice alone, right? The next critical piece of the puzzle is pulses. Think lentils, chickpeas, beans, all that good stuff. In a country with a huge vegetarian population, these are the protein powerhouse. Absolutely essential.
And the amazing thing about pulses is that they're a total win-win. Not only are they packed with protein, but they do something incredible for the soil. They actually pull nitrogen from the air and fix it in the ground, which makes the soil more fertile for the next crop. Plus, they don't need a ton of water, so they're often grown in rotation with other thirstier crops. It's a really smart system.
Okay, so we've covered the crops that feed the people. Now let's talk about the crops that fuel the economy. These are the cash crops and plantation crops that are huge drivers for industry and for exports. This is where farming meets big business, head on.
You've got things like sugarcane, the main source for sugar, and India is the second largest producer in the world. And then you have plantation crops like tea. Guess what? India is the second largest producer of that too. These crops aren't grown on small family plots, they're huge operations all geared for the commercial market.
But it's not all just massive commodity crops. There's another incredibly vibrant sector, horticulture. We're talking about the amazing rainbow of fruits and vegetables that add so much color and nutrition to the Indian diet.
I mean, the sheer variety here is just incredible. You've got tropical fruits like mangoes and bananas thriving in some parts of the country, and at the same time, you have tempered fruits like apples and walnuts growing up in the Himalayas. In fact, back in 2020, India was the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables on the entire planet. That really says something about its diverse climates.
So we've seen the methods, the seasons, the incredible variety of crops, but Indian agriculture hasn't just been sitting still. This whole system has been actively shaped over decades by deliberate government policies, by huge technological leaps, and even by powerful social movements.
This timeline really tells a story. Right after independence in the 50s, the big push was on land reform, basically breaking up these old feudal estates. Then you get to the 60s and 70s, and this is a huge deal. The Green and White Revolutions. These were game changers. They dramatically boosted food grain and milk production, making India self-sufficient for the first time. More recently, the focus has shifted more towards supporting farmers directly with things like credit, crop insurance, and guaranteed prices for their produce.
But here's the thing, reform didn't just come from the top down. This slide points to a really unique and powerful movement. It was called Bhudan, or land gift. Led by Vinoba Bhave, a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, it inspired wealthy landowners to voluntarily give away some of their land to poor, landless families. It was a grassroots social approach to reform, and people rightly called it the bloodless revolution.
So we've gone on quite a journey, right? From Rinja's tiny fire-cleared plot in Assam, all the way to massive commercial plantations and nationwide revolutions. The story of Indian agriculture is one of incredible scale, amazing diversity, and constant change. It makes you wonder, facing huge challenges like climate change and a still growing population, what will the next great agricultural revolution in India even look like?